Good evening, everyone. It's Todd Milewski here at the Kohl Center after a 4-1 victory for the Badgers over Army in game number 3 of the season here October 14th. The Badgers get a power play goal, asterisk, explain that in a minute, from Jack Gorniak with 5:02 remaining to take a 2-1 lead after it looked like it was going to be one of those nights where get all of these chances to score and don't actually score. And I thought it was a lot better performance by the Badgers. And I take out the opponent altogether in this. It could have been Army, could have been Michigan Tech, could have been Michigan, could have been Minnesota. What the Badgers did themselves was important in that they were more competitive in battles, one-on-one chances. They came away with the puck from those more often than they did last week against Michigan Tech. They were aggressive. They looked more composed. And so it's hard to put that in the context of, would it have been the same against Michigan Tech had the Badgers played the same way tonight last week? We won't know that, obviously. But to me, it was a step up from what the Badgers need to do this season. We know it's going to be a struggle to score. We saw that again tonight. But the Badgers need to do everything else right. And they got that to a pretty high degree tonight, I thought. Now, it's a 4-1 win. Really, it was 2-1. Badgers got 2 empty net goals, and so that padded things at the end and made it look a little bit more comfortable of a win than it actually was. And Tony Granato afterwards said that he was, in a way, glad that it got to be a pretty competitive finish, and the Badgers had to grind it out at the end. That's going to be valuable for them. He said they're going to be in a lot of games like that just from the way this season is going to be. The scoring is going to be at a premium, obviously. We're seeing that. Gorniak's goal was on the 40th shot on goal. So I guess in the end, the message for the Badgers out of this one is that, here's what happens. You get the result if you do the things right. That are the building blocks of that. Those that compete, the one-on-one battles. Those kind of things are going to pay off. If not every night, you're going to have some nights where you're going to get outscored, but more often than not, if they play like this, they're going to be okay throughout the season. It's I don't know whether that means they'll finish in the top 3 of the Big Ten. I don't know that, but if they can play more along what we saw tonight for most of this game, they will give themselves the best chance, given the issues that it seems like they're going to have with scoring. So, that all being said, there are, let me get to a couple questions real quick. Tanner asked, do you feel like Army was a downgrade opponent for the Badgers versus Michigan Tech? Well, I think they are as an opponent, they're not as strong top to bottom as Michigan Tech was. Michigan Tech probably won't be as strong as a lot of teams in the Big Ten will be. So, this is not exactly a top 20 team the Badgers are playing. I don't know if it's a top 40 team the Badgers are playing. I don't know yet. I don't know enough about Army to see, where they're going to fit into the big picture of college hockey this season. That's a team that works. You got to say that after watching tonight's game. They, that's all I've ever heard about Army is that, regardless of talent, they're gonna work their what's off to put themselves in a position where they're going to have a chance, and they did that tonight. And in reality, Gavin Abrick, the goalie, probably deserved better. Made a lot of saves. He's a Hayward native, so playing back in his home state, they he made a ton of saves that probably shouldn't have made. The Badgers could have had 4 or 5 goals by the midway point of the game, but they didn't because of the Army goaltender. Brian asks, are you able to attend practices, and what changes have you seen since last week? Yes, I am, as opposed to last season when I was not able to be at practice. And in the 3 days of practice this week, they started with on Monday, a very demanding practice. That was all basically 1-on-1, 2-on-2 kind of battle day, competition day, with a few laps at the end of it for good measure. And I asked Tony Granato after that whether it was kind of an attention-grabbing kind of practice setup, and he said, no, this is just a normal Monday, which not sure I agree with. I've seen a lot of Mondays, and this one seemed like more of a, hey, let's realize what we didn't do well last week and do some things to try and fix that, which they did. That continued Tuesday and Wednesday, a little bit less. They didn't go quite as hard on those one-on-ones through the Tuesday and Wednesday, but they still pushed a lot of the competition through the week, and I think that did show up here tonight. And players, I talked to Jack Gorniak and Sam Stang afterwards, and they said, yeah, there was a connection between how they practiced and how they played this week, which, I mean, makes sense. That's the way things go a lot. One note to come out of tonight, Tyler Inamoto missed the third period with a lower body injury. So some backstory on that. He was injured in practice on Monday, limped off, favoring his left leg. Didn't practice Tuesday and was back in on Wednesday, and then obviously played tonight, but didn't go in the third period. And I didn't see what happened, but I had a report from someone on Twitter that said he was in a good amount of pain after a second period shift. And Granato said he will not play tomorrow. Not sure on how long he'll be out, but when it adds to Mike Vorlicki already being out, that's 2 of what probably was their top 6 or top 7, I guess, since they play 7 defensemen mainly coming into the season. And so more and more is going to be asked of those freshmen. Corson Kuhlman's, Daniel Latch, Jake Martin, and you're seeing some pretty good things out of Latch and Martin. Kuhlman's is a work in progress, I think. He's taking on a lot on the power play, and not all of it's going incredibly well, I think. And that's to be expected with freshmen to a large degree. And especially after what I wrote about in the story ahead of this series, he didn't play a ton last season in junior because Canada's junior leagues were, and especially in the league he was in, the Alberta League, were pretty limited in what they could do as far as games last season. I think we're seeing some out of Martin and Latch especially has been pretty good from what I've noticed. We're seeing some out of them that they're picking it up pretty quickly. But with Inamoto out, with Vorlicki out, putting a little bit more on them. You're going to be asking more out of Anthony Carey. You're going to be asking more out of Josh S., Jesper Peltonen. These guys to step in and be more contributors. Now those are guys that are defensively strong for the most part. Some times tonight we saw some mistakes in the D zone out of them. Peltonen gave the puck away in the D zone. I believe in the third period. I can't remember if it was tied at that point or not, but a play that could have been a lot of trouble. But Badgers got out of that one. I think they got a block out of it. It was Dominic Mersch about halfway through the third period. Dominic Mersch made a block on John Kiernan for Army after that giveaway. Jim asks whether Mo gets a turn in net tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised. I think this is another opportunity to see what they have. Cameron Rowe played. I mean, he gave up one goal that was probably a bad one. He would probably say that too. It looked like that. I didn't see a great replay of it, but I don't know if it bounced before it got to him or if it bounced after hitting him. It was a one-timer that the Army player, Joey Baez, didn't get all of, and so it didn't get to Rowe with the speed that he was probably expecting, so a little bit of a knuckleball maybe, but one that he probably should have saved, that tied the game at 1. Made a couple good saves, was out of position on a couple, got some help, one from Peltonen on a block in front on I believe it was Josh Bolin, where Rowe was trying to recover, and Peltonen got in front of a Bolin shot at what might have been a partially empty net. But I don't know, I guess, is the answer for sure on Mo for tomorrow, or who starts in goal, but that's one of the things we'll see. Granow said he really liked the lines tonight, so I would imagine minimal changes to that tomorrow, maybe getting Max Johnson or Braden Morrison in. I know they're trying to see as many people as they can early in the season before things ramp up in the next few weeks. Tanner asked another question about the schedule. Opening Big Ten play earlier is good or bad, or wait till December or January? I think this is probably the way it works best. Get a couple of non-conference games in, and then get into the Big Ten. I mean, now the trick is that when you talk pairwise and you talk strength of schedule, the games at the start of the season count for a lot. Non-conference games do, and it's why the Badgers are going to be in a little bit of trouble now with losing 2 games at home to Michigan Tech. Now, obviously, they have to hope that Michigan Tech turns out to be really, really good, maybe top 10 in the pairwise, and that doesn't look quite as bad. But if not, those are things that are, we're a long way from thinking about pairwise, obviously, but that's something they'll have to dig out of down the road. Brian says, obviously the Badgers lost lots from last season. Is this team deeper than last season? I'm not ready to go there yet. I think, last season, yes, top heavy from goals, but I think of the contributions that they got, not necessarily in scoring, but in presence from a lot of the lower line players last season. Owen Lindmark had injury troubles towards the end, but he was a big part of what they did. Dominic Mersch, he was valuable, and these guys that are back this season, but I'd like to see a little bit more before I say, see really how deep this team is. I mean, it could be. I mean, it could be more even, and so if you're looking at it that way, it's the depth is spread out a little bit more, I guess. But I guess that's how I'd answer that right now. So that's going to wrap it up tonight. Thanks for joining me. More Friday night after Game 2 of this series. Once again, a 4-1 victory for the Badgers against Army at the Kohl Center here on Thursday. Make sure you check out the story on madison.com and in Friday's State Journal, and make sure you check out our digital subscription special that's going on right now. Still $1 for 6 months to get you through the entire rest of the college hockey season, and I would love it if you subscribe, because that's how we keep going. So thanks for checking out that option, madison.com/members/join if you want to check that out. So have a good night, everyone. We'll talk to you after Friday night's game.